Jim Weiss, great to have you here as we celebrate TCM's 30th birthday. Thanks so much.
Oh, it's great to be back, Dave. Thanks for having me.
You had a job that sounded really cool to me. Vice President of PR for TCM from 93 to 98. And what I find interesting is that besides helping to spread the word about TCM when it launched, you're also partially, if not entirely, responsible for Robert Osborne becoming the first host of TCM, right?
I had a small role in that, Dave. A small role.
How?
So I'm one of just a couple of people on the planet to have worked for the two great classic movie channels, because I started at American Movie Classics, and part of my role at both networks was to get press for and then travel with some of the great Hollywood stars that we work with promoting the channel. And I mean, I got to work with, and I'm going to name drop here.
Please.
Debbie Reynolds, Shirley Jones, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Omar Sharif, Geraldine Fitzgerald, Cesar Romero, Tony Curtis, Esther Williams, and Dorothy Lamour, among other people. And then we were bringing Dorothy to New York for AMC in 1991, and she had one request. She said, "Jim, I'm happy to do this date for you. All I want you to do is set up dinner for me at 21 with Robert Osborne." I knew who Robert Osborne was. He was the esteemed columnist for the Hollywood Reporter.
Yep.
He was hosting movies, I think, on the Movie Channel on the weekend. And so no email or cell phone. So I typed him a letter and put it on AMC letterhead and mailed it off to the Hollywood Reporter in New York. And I waited. And I don't know, a few days later, a week later, I answer the phone. Jim Weiss. "Hi, Jim. This is Robert Osborne." And, "Oh, hi, Mr. Osborne. How are you doing?" And we put the dinner together. It was just one of those incredible, magical nights. It was just so much fun. It was Brad Siegel, who had played a big part in leading TCM, but he was head of programming and originals for AMC at the time. Brad and his wife, me and my then wife, and Robert Osborne and Dorothy Lamour. And it was just it was just one of those really special nights for everybody. And when we were leaving, I remember getting Dorothy into her car and saying, "I'll see you tomorrow. We have some press to do." And then Brad and I said goodnight to Bob Osborne. And I don't know why I remember it. I always remember him walking up 51st Street because he lived around the corner from the restaurant. And I turned to Brad and I said, "We got to work with him. We got to get him." So when we came to Turner and then TCM, we were developing that. And so we looked at everything, the look, the feel, the music, the intros, the outro, everything. And should there be a host? Yes, as we all agreed
Thank
to.
you for that, Jim.
And then who should it be? And so Brad said, "Why don't you give Bob Osborne a call and see?" And certainly he was interested. And then the rest is history. And credit to Bob. It was so great to see him become so popular on TCM. He was the best. I think Robert Osborne was born to host Turner Classic Movies. I was just a cog in the system. It was his destiny to be here. And you guys are keeping the tradition on in spectacular fashion.
Right. I also was fascinated to learn that the launch date of April 14th, 1994 was your idea. Explain why that date was important.
Well, all we knew is that we were launching a classic movie network in the spring of 94. So as the PR guy, I'm looking for a hook. One day I saw this date in movie history, April 14th, 1894, the first public exhibition of a motion picture in Times Square, New York City, the first movie theater. And, I thought, that's it. I mean, that's great. I mean, because I never thought we were launching a basic cable network. I thought we were launching a movie theater. I mean, TCM is the greatest movie theater ever. You just don't physically walk into it.
Right.
And these days you watch it on your TV, your phone, your tablet, everything. And I thought there was perfect symmetry in that. So when I presented that to the senior team of people that we were developing and working on TCM every day, they said, "That's great." And we had to make sure it worked. And for operations and the satellite folks, and it was a Thursday, if I recall, so it was a day of the week, and so I guess I helped pick the birthday at TCM.
Well, you and I are going to talk more about the specifics of that launch day after we watch the movie that you've selected, which is The In-Laws from 1979, starring Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. Just tell everybody why this movie is so meaningful to you.
Well, I was in college in the early 80s. I went to Cortland State in upstate New York. Go Red Dragons. And my friend Mark Danzer and I, we rented the movie. I think there was some beer involved with that rental. And we watched it once, we watched it twice, we watched it over and over again. Of course, we start doing the lines, serpentine, serpentine.
Yes.
And then we started calling each other by the character names. Peter Falk plays Vince Ricardo, a CIA agent that you don't know if he's going nuts or not. And then Alan Arkin is a buttoned-up dentist from New Jersey, Sheldon Shelley Hornpen.
Yeah.
So we were calling each other Vince and Shelley, but then Sheldon Shelley Shell is used 82 times in the movie.
Oh my gosh.
Because I counted. So Vince went away, and we just started calling each other Shelley, Shell. And then over time, a group of friends loved the movie, and we started calling each other Shelley, Shell, Sheldon. And to this day, we have a group of about 10 guys. We're known as the Shelleys.
Oh.
And whenever we get together for, in any increment, we don't use real names. It's Sheldon, what hole are we on? Shell, can you get me a beer? Shell, what time's your flight tomorrow? So you don't ever hear real names. It's Sheldon, Shelley, Shell. And so,
well, it's a great comedy that you can watch over and over again, which is why I'm glad you chose it. Let's watch it right now. From 1979, here are Peter Falk and Alan Arkin, Shelley, Indian Laws.